Hello YouTube, Morkez Marihser here, and for today's project, I've brought along my friend, Swiftwind.
As well as our crew of Wambu, Alan Peterson, and Phil, aka Sgrignoli. The five of us have teamed up to bring you this statistical experiment.
Put our initials together and you get S.W.A.M.P.
We're not calling ourselves that.
Okay, today we're going to rank every single Final Smash that has ever existed from worst to best. You heard us. Everyone from every Smash game to feature them.
Well, there were a few caveats, but I'll let our guests explain our process.
Firstly, we decided to stop after Fighter Pass 1 without Min Min, so we don't have to worry if Crash or Shantae or anyone else gets added before we publish. Therefore, Violet's the most recent entry on our list.
Second, our initial count totaled 114, so we spent the day fine-tuning the list by grouping identical finishers together based on appearance and functionality across multiple games or characters. Our final results brought us down to 106.
Third, we ranked our picks from best to worst, 1 to 106, then we averaged it all together and broke any ties by the highest median, then the highest lowest when needed. You'll see all of our individual numbers and the average score as we go.
Which brings us to now. The results will be read off, alternating between the five of us. What we say will be based on the math, not our personal takes. For those, especially when there's an outlier among us, we've got a comment side pod for any of us.
So, now that everyone's caught up, let's begin the S.W.A.M.P ranking of every Final Smash in the series.
We're not calling it a S.W.A.M.P ranking.
Yeah, you're right. Somebody!
Three, two, one, go!
Putting this at the bottom was practically unanimous. You can see why.
Take the stupid power suit mechanic, add a lame swirly thing that's no better than the screw attack. It's genius!
Why?
You don't even turn into a good character!
Totally surprised you guys with this one.
Oh, we're off to a great start.
Your enemies are more distracted by the huge waifu JPEG than they are damaged by random centurions. At least Uprising came out of it later.
We don't understand why they did this. More importantly, when the home series came up with great alternatives like Twinkle Tackle, we don't understand why they kept it!
Breath of the Wild had a whole Sheikah slate of powers to choose from, and they give us this? Talk about wasted potential.
If they wanted to give us a dragon, why didn't they give this to the actual dragon in the roster? More on that later.
You know, most things become crazier and flashier when transitioning into Smash. This is the exception that proves the rule. Also, it barely works!
The Ice Climbers summon a mountain that, just like the ones in the source material, they can barely climb. And let's face it, that pterodactyl is pretty much useless.
Points for being based on a Game & Watch title. Points for being uniquely weird. No points for anything else, though.
Smash has plenty of lasers, and this one stands out from the pack by being kinda silly looking and generally boring apart from that. How does one screw up a laser?
Okay, that's a step in the right direction. Just one, not 8.
Just like everything in Daisy's moveset, it's copied from Peach and doesn't fit her personality.
Here's a reason to stop playing Smash and start playing Donkey Kong 64. At least there, you can aim decently.
It fits the character, yes, but it's just not fun to use. You see, this is why some people like playing with the Final Smash meter off.
Behold, the goddess Rosalina, with the power to restart the universe,
And put a mildly annoying star in the middle of the battlefield.
There's a joke to be made here about knockoff medicine, but this video would get demonetized. Let's just move on.
To 2, if you're going to rip off someone else's Final Smash, why Zelda instead of, you know, the one you're literally a copy of?
A very accurate representation of Mario Sunshine. Creative, but incredibly clunky. Also, explain how all the other Koopalings do it, Sakurai.
Goodness gracious, average balls of fire. Looks cool, but it's kind of basic compared to the rest. At least Dr. Mario's look more unique.
When we asked for DDD to get a more original Final Smash than what we had in Brawl, this is not what we had in mind.
A Mii picks up a sword. A Mii swings a sword. A Mii somehow rips off Mario, who doesn't even have a sword. Points for effort?
Setting aside that they can't do this in their native series, this version is far too erratic and unreliable.
Mac, you're a boxer from the Bronx, not the Hulk who broke Harlem. Something something Rocky 3 joke.
Kamehameha. It's alright. But the ultimate version's the only one worth using, both for the wider beam and the bonus Mega Evolution.
This is cute and charming, and Isabel is the sweetest, but it's not all that special, all things considered.
This one needed a lot of work, despite feeling like pure unadulterated Kirby. Turns out what it needed was to become an assist trophy. Who knew?
Volt Tackle has never looked anything remotely like this outside of Smash. Powerful if you can actually hit anything, which is harder than it seems.
An odd choice, but one that couldn't go to any other character. It is functionally fickle, so the personality is the main thing going for it.
Certainly the most series accurate of the transformations. Less so for how easily Lucario can self-destruct, but still.
Turns out Super Dragon 2, an actual dragon this time, was a lot more fun and interesting than its prequel. Go figure.
Setting aside the memes, it exudes personality and fills the screen with enemies that are unreliable, almost as much as the Centurions.
Why does Wolf even have one of these? It's more powerful than the other ones, but it doesn't last nearly as long.
Credit where it's due, no one else has a finisher that looks like this. A little boring without the camera angle, however.
Unlike Dark Pit, this one actually matches the source material. Still, it's easy to see why this was changed later on.
It's Mario Finale again, but slightly better and slightly lamer. Certainly beats the alternative, like making the target drop and give them 50.
Not a bad choice, and well translated into Smash. Still, it's a typical beam super, except you can move. And die.
The vacuum effect is helpful, certainly beats Ken's ranged option, but it's still middling.
Exudes the color and tone of Metal Gear, as well as every other first-person shooter it could be compared to.
It's flashy, it's deadly, and it's a vast improvement over Brawl. The downside is that the attack pattern is way too random to get consistent results.
The need to accommodate for the 3DS version robbed PK Starstorm of its uniqueness. Get it? Uniqueness.
Hard to use effectively, but it can kill. It does guarantee some damage on all targets at least.
While the range is a bit too short, it really makes itself stand out from the other concepts of Fire Emblem criticals.
Nintendo once had Luigi weaponize his depression in one of the most bizarre, wacky, and random Final Smashes to date. And perhaps this negative weirdness could produce a positive.
Still has nothing to do with Rob, but at least it's cooler than before. More lasers, Nintendo! More lasers!
Very effective on crowds, less against a single opponent. Definitely appropriate for Sonic's blinding speed.
What do you know? Nintendo listened and we have more lasers!
When most people eat that much garlic, it doesn't go well. When Wario eats garlic, it becomes the most dangerous transformation in the series.
Insta-kill at high percentages? Great! The process getting there? Less great. Probably should have been remedied in Ultimate, given the streamlining of everything else.
It's not as deadly as the grenade launcher, but it is a tactical missile strike. One that tails the opponent in a star KO. Points for the extra details.
It's cool, it's spooky, A+ on presentation. The effectiveness, however, can be a coin flip.
Insanely strong if it connects. The risk getting there, though, is high, and the reaction time needed not to die when it doesn't hit is very small.
Referencing the home series and Subspace Emissary simultaneously is a plus. The fact that the giant boss can self-destruct, a minus.
A great balance between the scattered Brawl version and the aimable Smash 4 version. Plus, now they've got people who can actually perform the attack.
Someone will die with this one. No one knows who would advance, though. Not even Diddy Kong himself.
The Dragoon turns into a final smash, but it does reference an important part in Kid Icarus Uprising. Spoilers, sorry.
They completely made this one up, yet it fits Sheik more than the arrow, so points there.
As pointless as the Mega Evolution was, this attack looks brutal. It doesn't even need to look like the games to be cool. In fact, the difference is to its benefit.
An effective clone of Great Ether, but a little confusing come Ultimate. Use it on Crom and try to tell us otherwise.
Over the top, quite a mouthful, and stands out from the rest of Fire Emblem. Pretty much Byleth in a nutshell, huh?
This is just a more painful version of Pikachu's. For the target, for the user, and probably for the VA. Someone give them some tea with honey. Our treat.
More frantic than the earlier take, replicating the wraparound of the arcade game instead of the control scheme.
The first-person perspective makes this one look and feel like you are uniquely piloting a spaceship with lasers. And again, more lasers!
The more arcade-accurate version gives every player and victim a case of Pac-Man fever.
Still don't understand the sudden bulk up, but hey, at least this one looks like it hurts! If only he finished with a star punch, though.
In spite of how she looks on the ship, this is in fact a Zero Suit Final Smash. Still badass though. Also, we got more lasers.
While difficult to deal with, one can't deny this technique's sheer effectiveness. Apparently, wisdom equals obliteration.
It's dangerous enough when Luigi sucks you into the vacuum. It's another thing entirely when he spits you right back out of it.
Now, this one feels in line with Star Fox, especially since the R-Wings are finally used in the moveset, and not just the entrance animation.
It's tricky to land, but it's so satisfying to use. The effects from Street Fighter IV add a welcome touch to this classic finisher.
Lasers will never go away. If anything, they'll just add more lasers to the lasers to make even more lasers. Thanks, Rob.
Far more effective than Galaxia Darkness, if a bit generic, though the version with the camera angle certainly puts points in its favor.
One of the few cutscene team attacks that truly understands the essence of the fighter, or at least the people trying to shoot the fighter, and make them comically flail about in the process.
A far better Final Smash for Wolf, and a more savage attack pattern than Fox and Falco. Suits him perfectly.
It's generic, even though it's ripped straight out of Jungle Beats and Country Returns. Still, just imagine the bruises from getting hit by that!
While it was entirely made up for Smash, it feels super iconic and has become inseparable from the character. All three of them. Well, until the arrow happened.
We're mostly feeling it! Bringing in the Xenoblade party members helps make it stand out, and the more the merrier.
The main thing missing from this is what happened to K. Rool at the end of the reveal trailer. Then again, it wouldn't make much sense.
Goofy, dangerous, entirely cartoonish, slightly gross. The perfect epitome of a Wario finisher.
Quite a fitting vibe for a vampire hunter sealing a demon away. Even if said demon is a squirrel. Come to think of it, how does that coffin work anyway?
Okay, more lasers, yes, but there's also a black hole. That should not be ignored here.
While there should be a Z move in its place by now, it's still a flashy and very effective attack. Plus, you can steer it now, by not needing to.
When Fire Emblem added playable dragons, asterisk, Smash definitely took advantage of it. Plus, it's a water-focused attack, which we don't see much of.
Okay, this laser is dark and eerie enough that we're dropping the running gag. Points for presentation with the white contrast background.
It's extremely fast! Perhaps a bit too fast, but using the Super Saiyan Speedster is almost a guaranteed KO!
This is one of the most brutal beatdowns in the franchise, and it can potentially be handed to you by someone dressed as Toad, Knuckles, or KK Slider. Be afraid, people.
A well-executed tribute to the Dragon Quest series. The animation's a little stiff, but you can tell they cared a lot.
Classic, awesome, great that it doesn't change characters anymore, but we've exhausted our laser jokes.
I'm a fire in my...
No!
Unlike Wolf,
Not me!
it's believable these two would use these even if we don't see it. Plus, the customization makes sense, with Fox being more rounded and Falco preferring the air.
From composed and civil to a giant rampaging boar! It's certainly scary, and the stun he does before charging makes this an effective attack.
Of course, this one's a classic, and of course they nail it, but someone just happens to have done the shtick better.
Even if you're unfamiliar with SNK, the sheer pizzazz, power, and English have to sway you over. No, Terry, we're not okay. That hurt!
A great example of friendship, teamwork, and training elemental creatures to learn techniques that can blast you to pieces with an accompanying text box. And laser.
No idea how they came up with this, but it has definitely stuck with him. More of the original stuff should be like this. Also, more people should shout their attacks the way Ike does.
Pretty nice reference to the opening of Melee, even if dumping a victim into the rampaging herd will make you feel kinda guilty for killing James Earl Jones. Sorry, my bad.
It took 3 attempts, but DDD finally has a final smash that is 100% his and 100% effective. Plus, he's wearing the mask. About time!
On which part?
Yes.
Taking something made up for Melee and giving us a new angle on it, literally. One that surprisingly fits with more recent Mario titles to boot. Either way, fun to use.
It's both a nice reference to the Kirby Renaissance and a giant sword! Cloud Strife, eat your heart out. Kirby will even cook it for you.
Taking a page out of Strider Hiryu's book because Sakurai only had a cursory idea of what Greninja's powers actually are, and in this case, we should all be glad for that.
Evo Moment 37. Okay, even without that, it still does plenty of damage and can pick up anyone else who happens to get in the way and kill them easily.
All the effort taken to put a stylish team finisher from a mature-rated game in Smash was not wasted. Plus the end screen if it's guaranteed to kill. Never saw that coming.
Now with thumbs and swords! Losing the ground stun is totally worth it for the larger hitbox and extra range provided with the swords. Plus it just looks cleaner than the beast does.
It's always satisfying when the sheer power of a boss is put in the player's hands, and this classic is no exception. Sure, it's a bit shorter in the 4th game, but it's no less cathartic.
The developers said, let's take an already awesome Z move and make it even more awesome. Adding the in-your-face cutscene made it perfect for the wrestling heel of this roster.
It's one thing to be game accurate, another to be game over accurate. It even goes further since we actually see the island get hit by a giant laser! Oh boy, it's back.
While Samus might let you pilot her gunship, Ridley destroys it epically with yet another laser. How many of those does Samus have, anyway?
The initial strike, the setup, the environment, the sound effects, all of them feel exactly like what would happen if you stepped on an F-Zero track. Well, the PG version of events, anyway.
Fan service at its finest. Not 1, not 2, but 5 Mega Men, plus company shooting the ever-loving laser out of people.
Enough with the lasers! But yeah, from the Black Hole Bomb starter to the recognition of everything the franchise stands for, we couldn't ask for a better Final Smash.
Really? I could.
I had it number 14.
Does that include X7?
Super Fighting Robot!
Mega Man!
Mega Man! Mega Man! The Super Fighting Robot! Fighting to save the world!
Well, that's our ranking. If you like what you see, why not let us know with a like and subscription to myself and Swift? If you want to see what Swift has been doing lately, he's got an award show for the various seasons of Death Battle that some of us have contributed to. There will be a link to the first episode in the end cards.